Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please give a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone that you can, just so we can get out there a little bit more. That being said, let's get right into it, man. The Celtics finally closed out the Atlanta Hawks, beating them in 6, 128-120, to advance to the second round, facing the Philadelphia 76ers. So for the first quarter, 14-2 lead early in the first quarter, all by Marcus Smart. Smart had a three, a putback, and assist on the first three by Jalen. He had some free throws. Smart was just all over the place in that early part of the first quarter. And of course, Trae Young just fucking killed us. He had 18 points. In the first 3 games, he was not getting to the line and he wasn't hitting threes. He would score about 20 to 25 points, but on those 25 points, he would have 12 field goals that he made, which means that those are just twos. There's no points coming from the line and from the 3-point line. In the first quarter, he had 5 free throws and he was 3 for 6 from 3, I believe. So when Trae's getting to the line and he's hitting threes, it's just so much harder as an opponent to stop him. But the Celtics ultimately came out on top in that quarter, 35-34. They shot 50% in that quarter, 45% from 3. Atlanta shot 41% and 31% from 3. So not a horrible defensive quarter for the Celtics, but again, Trae Young getting to the line, of course, adds those extra points there. The offensive rebounds were again a problem in the first quarter. Clint Capella had 2 in the first 3 minutes, and the Hawks ended that quarter with 6 offensive rebounds altogether. In the second quarter, Atlanta got off to an 11-4 run. It was 60-53, but then Jaylen Brown turned up. He had an important 5-0 run, cut it to 2, and then the Celtics ended up going on a 13-2 run, of course led by Jaylen Brown, who also had 13 points in that second quarter. The defense for the Celtics in that quarter wasn't that great. Atlanta shot about 60% in that quarter and 50% from 3, but Celtics kept scoring. The Jays combined for 22 points in that quarter. Bogdanovich was also key. He had 7 points in that 11-4 run to kind of give Atlanta some cushion in that second quarter. The Jays combined for 34 points in that first half. Jalen had 18, JT had 16. Smart, again, who was amazing in the first quarter, had 11 points, and Brogdon came off the bench with 9. Trae Young had 25 in that first half, but again, he was 4 for 8 from 3, and he was 5 for 5 from the free throw line. That's 17 points from those 2 areas. Those 2 areas were something that the Celtics did a great job of limiting in the first 3 games. And you know, game 5, Trae cut up from the 3-point line in the fourth quarter, which got his total up to 38. The first half of this game, you know, those 2, the 3-point line and the free throw line, he just took advantage of, and he had a huge first half. But a big thing that I caught in the first half was DeJounte Murray had 0 points. Doing all that on Twitter, talking about we going back to the A and all that other shit. It doesn't look like he was back in the A in the first half. Third quarter comes around, and I see some changes in the pick and roll coverage. For the first, 5 games, the Celtics always ran drop, and I was so confused because I think the Celtics have the defenders to just switch or like to show while the primary defender comes back into the play and then just play out of that. But the Celtics continuously gave up wide open threes to guys like Hunter, Collins, and Saddiq Bey. 2 of those guys who I think are pretty solid shooters. But the first 3 possessions of the third quarter, the guy who was supposed to drop, they showed high and they just switched. And Trae didn't score or assist on those 2 plays. They were doing a lot more of that in games 1 through 3. And that is a part of why Trae struggled. I was talking about DeJounte not scoring in the first half. He came up huge in the third quarter with 9 points to keep Atlanta close and for them ultimately going in the fourth quarter with a lead. And there was also a point I think about with 1 minute left in the third quarter where the Celtics went extra small. Okongwu was the 5, and he's like 6'8", 6'9", so it wasn't that bad of a move. Grant was at the 5 with the Jays, White, and Brogdon. The lineup didn't do great, but I feel like it was an interesting look. Something that was important that caught my eye in that quarter was Atlanta won that quarter by 3 points, but they had 7 more shot attempts than the Celtics. They had 4 offensive rebounds and the Celtics had none. So I'm really glad that didn't come back to hurt the Celtics in the fourth quarter. DeAndre Hunter was also huge. He had 13 points. It's just a part of the way that the Celtics were playing defense in this entire series. It's just Hunter, who is actually a solid shooter, just got practice shots every single game. Like, he's just shooting wide open shots because of the coverage the Celtics play on Trae Young and DeJounte in the pick and rolls. And I think even though Atlanta's not a great shooting team, and of course I think that comes into the coverages because they're like, okay, other than Trae Young, we're gonna let these guys shoot threes. If they hit him at a high clip, we're gonna just lose. DeAndre Hunter isn't a guy you just let shoot. Saddiq Bey, who statistically had a bad shooting season, again, I just don't think he's a guy that you should let shoot. Collins, maybe is in that mode. Jalen Johnson certainly is in that type, but I think the Celtics could have been way better defensively if they just, played them straight up. Maybe Trae Young or DeJounte average a little bit more points, but I feel like those points would have been from twos and not threes. The wide open ones from Hunter and guys like that. And in the fourth quarter, Jaylen Brown was just attacking the entire fourth quarter. And that's what we need from him. He was kind of hurt those first 3 games, and he wasn't himself, with his hand. But once he took the mask off, he turned into himself, and we really needed him in these last 2 games. And that 11-0 run to put us up 121-113, where we hit 3 straight threes, and then Tatum had that ferocious putback dunk. Smart also came up clutch with 5 late points, to ultimately put the game away, and the Celtics won 128-120. Jaylen Brown ended the game with 32 points and 5 rebounds. It is so easy, not easy, but it's such a luxury when you have a guy like Tatum that averages 30 points, but on any given night, you have a second or 1A option that can put up 30 alongside Tatum. As a defense, you can't rest with this team. You have Brogdon scoring 17 points, Smart this game scoring 20. It just makes it so hard on the defense when you think that Tatum is the guy you have to double team and commit all your resources to, and you have another, 27 to 30 point scorer right beside him, and you're trapping Tatum, and you're leaving your other guys 4-on-5 with a 30-point scorer, Smart, who's a great playmaker, Al Horford, who's a shooter, and either Rob, who's a lob threat, Al, who can shoot, Grant, who can shoot. You know what I'm saying? It's just Celtics have a lot of people that can hurt you, and if they continue to use them to the best of their abilities, this team can ultimately get back to the championship and win. But yeah, Jaylen, just the way that he attacks and his ability to make something out of nothing, just being able to score when he's picked up his dribble and it seems like he has nowhere to go and no space, he just uses that pivot and continues to work to get the shot that he can hit. And in games where Tatum, starts slow, the Celtics aren't hurt because they have a guy like Brown who could pick up that scoring load whenever they need it. But Tatum was better, much better in this game than the last game. 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. I still don't love his shot profile. He was 11 for 20 from the field, but 4 for 10 from 3. It doesn't sit right that half of his shots are threes. But today, his energy, his focus was there the entire game. He played great defense. He attacked when he saw he had an opportunity to. Just a better all-around game for Tatum. He's a very, very smooth athlete, and his passing out of the double teams were phenomenal tonight. Just making the right read every time and not getting flustered. Also, a guy who I'm gonna talk about next, Smart, did a great job flashing to the free throw line when Tatum got trapped, and just being able to make the correct reads from the free throw line after Tatum got trapped. And Smart, again, a guy who was pivotal in the most pivotal parts of this game. Again, at the start, the reason we had a 14-2 run, and at the end, those 5 late points, and in the fourth quarter when Tatum was getting trapped by Atlanta, he was able to make the right reads every time, whether that was passing out to Al Horford for threes or taking it up when he had an opportunity to. Just a great all-around game. 22, 4 and 4 for Smart. If we're going to win a championship, this is the type of Smart that we need, along with a guy in Malcolm Brogdon who came off the bench with 17 points. One thing I had to say about Joe Mazzulla in Game 5 was that he needed to give Brogdon some more time. He only had 9 minutes in the second half of Game 5. He played 4 in the fourth quarter. Today, he logged 15 minutes in the second half, and he's the 6th man of the year for a reason. He's a guy that the Celtics can consistently count on to score the ball, to play solid defense, and to be a good playmaker. Again, not any team has a better 3-guard rotation than the Celtics do. And these are all guys that have size. They're all over 6'4". They're strong. They have great frames. They play defense. That they do everything. But that's it, guys. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment your thoughts on the series, or if you just want to comment, that's cool with me too. The Celtics advanced to face the Philadelphia 76ers, who swept the Brooklyn Nets in 4 games. I will be doing a preview on that, so look out for that video. It's Nick. Peace.